Most times at Port Edgar we can approach the first windward mark on a close-hauled course on starboard tack. The foredeck crew can put the spinnaker pole on as the boat approaches the mark. The pole always goes on the windward side of the boat, that's the side opposite from the boom. Marisca tacking for the windward mark. That's the windward mark here. Right, they're getting their pole up. Bearing away, sneaking the guy out. As the boat goes round the mark, the spinnaker starts to get hoisted up from the leeward side of the boat. Once you're round the mark on your new course, the pole should be set at 90 degrees to the wind. You can look up at the wind indicator at the top of the mast to check this out. If you're on a broad reach or a run, the pole needs to be back. The crew person on the guy, that's the rope controlling the spinnaker pole, will have to pull the guy in a lot as the boat goes round the mark. Got the guy back. Check out the Windex at the top of the flag, top of the mast, so they've got the pole at right angles. The foresail comes down after the hoist. If you're heading away from the buoy on a beam reach, the pole will be forwards near the forestay. Make sure the pole doesn't touch the forestay because it could bend or snap as the pressure comes onto the spinnaker. Really trucking along. To keep the spinnaker under control, make sure the guy is securely cleated before sheeting in the spinnaker. That way, if you need to let the pressure out of the spinnaker, you can let the spinnaker sheet out and it will flap like a flag. So that's when you want to control it, you can just let it flap like a flag. Oh, it's coming down again. So they're doing well not pulling the sheet in until they've got it right.
ready yet? Right, they're ready now. Get the jib in. Right, now they're going to sheet in. What's that?
Racing at Port Edgar includes a wide variety of mark roundings. Try to think ahead. How far back do you want the pole to be after the hoist? Pull forward a bit.
What's that? Jibe in the main.
Spinnaker jibes. The main object during the jibe is to keep the spinnaker filling. This keeps the boat moving fast and makes it much easier for the foredeck crew to jibe the pole. To keep the spinnaker full, it needs to get swung around the front of the boat. This is done by pulling in the guy and letting out on the sheet as the boat turns away from the wind.
Right, they're going to go for a jibe. Broad reach. We're on a close reach now. We're getting their barber haulers to the level of the guardrails. They're clearing away. It's squared the spinnaker back so it's right out in front of the boat.
In a downwind jibe, from running on one tack, in this case starboard, to running on the opposite tack, you can see that the spinnaker is already square out in front of the boat, so you don't need to adjust the sheet and the guy very much. The foredeck then swaps the pole over and the mainsail jibes across.
Swapping the pole over. Jibe in the main. So they've left the spinnaker nice and far out in front. And then once it's round, they can start to head upwind again. Sheet the spinnaker in. Just need to remember to let the starboard barber hauler off.
When you're jibing from one beam reach to another, the spinnaker needs to be swung right round the front of the boat. The sheet and the guy need a lot of adjustment in order to rotate the spinnaker around the front of the boat. The person on the guy needs to winch it in a lot, and the person on the sheet needs to let it out a lot. Keeping the sheet loose until the foredeck has jibed the pole will help them to get the pole moved across. Once the pole's over and the mainsail's been jibed, when the guy's cleated in, then the sheet can get pulled in and the boat can round up onto its new reach and course. Dropping the spinnaker. The spinnaker is usually taken down on the leeward side behind the shelter of the mainsail. Before the spinnaker is dropped, the foresail gets hoisted.
It's the jib going up for the drop.
The pole needs to go forwards just before the drop so that the spinnaker rotates behind the mainsail. This is done by releasing the guy just before the halyard is released. The spinnaker is then pulled down into the cabin under the mainsail from the leeward side of the boat. If you're coming up to round a buoy and staying on the same tack, the spinnaker pole can stay on until the boat has rounded the buoy and the sails have been pulled in.
Falling down.
You're losing the Spinnaker!
The halyard's come up. Halyard's back up. Oh no, they're doing another jibe. You need to square the spinnaker back a bit though. You're gonna jibe, it's gonna blow through the foresty. Woohoo! Whoa! Yeah, they didn't square it round, and so it blows to leeward whichever way